know that in Portuguese we have two verbs for the verb to be? Stay here with me that I'll show you. Welcome to Portuguese with Songs, where I teach you Brazilian Portuguese in a much funnier and interesting way, with songs. I'm Laura, and today I'm gonna teach you some grammar. Os verbos ser e estar with the song Amiga da Minha Mulher from Seu Jorge. I already taught you a lot of vocabulary and pronunciation in the first part of this lesson, so if you haven't watched yet, don't forget to check this out. And now we're gonna learn some simple applied grammar. These two verbs are very useful to make pretty much any sentence in Portuguese. You need to know the difference between these two verbs, so stay here with me that I'll teach you. If you haven't yet, just don't forget to subscribe so you can receive all of my videos. So here's what you're gonna learn in this lesson. First, I'm gonna teach you what are these two verbs, ser and estar, and how to use each of them. I'll also show you some examples based on the song we're learning. And finally, we'll practice a little bit together. Are you ready? Let's go! So if you like this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe here in my channel so you can receive all of my future videos. So let's start with the verb ser. I already told you I have some accent from my state, so I say it like ser. You might hear it as ser too. So say with me, ser or ser. Depends on the accent, okay? And this verb ser is used to describe permanent things like identity, nationality, essential quality, things that do not change easily. So for example, your nationality, where you're from, it never changes. So it's something permanent, you use the verb ser. For example, here, ele é brasileiro. He is Brazilian. Here's the verb ser. Ele é. So the conjugation for ele or ela is é. Okay? The most important one you should know is for I. Eu. Remember, I is eu. So, eu sou. So if you're gonna tell people your nationality, where you're from, you're gonna start with eu sou. Eu sou. Can you try? Eu sou brasileira. Eu sou brasileira. See how I say brasileira? Because I'm a woman. In this case, ele, he, is brasileiro, because he's a man. Okay? So, another example of how to use this verb ser is to identify people. Remember one more time, things that do not change easily. So, for example, ele é meu irmão. One more time. Ele é meu irmão. Look at the nasal. Irmão. He is my brother. Look at the verb here. Ele é. So this is permanent. Your brother, being a brother, is something permanent. So you use ser. Another example, to describe your physical characteristics. So, ela é alta. She is tall. Ela é alta. Sometimes we pronounce the letter L, L, as U. So, alta. Okay, it's not alta. No, alta. That means tall. and it ends in a, alta, because it's a feminine word. If you haven't checked the lesson on feminine and masculine words yet, check it out. I'm gonna leave the link for you. I'm not gonna focus too much on that, just know that here is feminine. Ela é alta. E você, and you. Você é alto. Are you tall? Você é alto. Remember that you is você. And the conjugation for você is é. So you already know, for ele, ela é, você é. Another one we have in Portuguese that's very useful is this one. A gente. Say with me. A gente. A gente. See the I. A gente. This means like we, but in a more informal way. You might hear it a lot in spoken Portuguese, so you should know. You can also say nós. That's also we. But a gente is more informal than nós. And the conjugation changes. So for a gente is é, for example. For example, a gente é brasileiro. Like we are Brazilians. But I'm using a gente. So it's é. If I wanted to say this with nós, it would be nós somos brasileiros. Okay? So it changes the conjugation. Very good. Another situation, you should use it to tell time and date. To tell time and date, you should use the verb ser. So, hoje é segunda-feira. Today's Monday, okay? Hoje é segunda-feira. Hoje is today. Remember that in Portuguese the letter H doesn't have a sound at the beginning of a word, so it's mute. Hoje é segunda-feira. Today is Monday. Okay. Here, just so you know, we have more conjugations, and that is vocês são. So you in the plural, vocês são. Nasal, look. São. Open your mouth and then you close. São. Okay? Eles, elas, they são too. Okay? Very good. So now, some examples from the song. One more time, if you haven't watched the first part, you should, so you could get to know the song first. So, from the song. Ela é amiga. Remember, ela é amiga da minha mulher. Ela é amiga. Ela é. In the song, he even says it like together. Ela é amiga. Ela é amiga da minha mulher. Ela é amiga da minha mulher. Ela é. Okay? She is. Amiga, friend. Another part. He says in the song. Ainda por cima é uma tremenda gata. É uma tremenda gata. Something you should know in Portuguese is that we don't always need to put the person close to the verb. We can just put the verb. Why? Because verbs in Portuguese are conjugated depending on the person. So, if I say, remember from the song, ainda por cima é uma tremenda gata. I don't say like, who is a tremenda gata? But I know it's ela because I said it in the sentence before. and because the verb is conjugated in e, okay? So I can leave the person off here, okay? One more sentence where you can see the verb to be, the verb ser, in this song is this one. Se fosse mulher feia, tava tudo certo. Se fosse. So this is conjugated in that subjunctive, subjuntivo. You don't need to know the name of this verbal tense, but it's used to express possibility. That's why it comes with se, that's if. So, se fosse mulher feia, if she was ugly woman. So, this is fosse, okay? Remember that I gave you as an example the movie Se Eu Fosse Você, if I were you. Okay. One more. É muita areia pro meu caminhão. É muita areia. One more time. We know that this means ela é, but the ela doesn't appear because it's conjugated, and you can infer what's referring to. É melhor parar. Minha sogra me orientou. Isso não tá certo, é melhor parar. É melhor parar. É melhor. Here, actually, it's referring like to it. It is better to stop. But we don't need to say the person, so é melhor parar. And the last example from the song, a carne é fraca. Eu juro, a carne é fraca, mas nunca rolou. A carne é fraca. Do you remember what this means? The flesh is weak. So here we saw a lot of examples from the verb ser, okay? Used to describe permanent things. Okay. So another permanent things I told you about are, for example, your nationality, sua nacionalidade. So, eu sou brasileira. What about you? E você? Qual a sua nacionalidade? Tell me here in the comments. I want to know. Take a look at this here and tell me in the comments what is your nacionalidade. You also use this verb to describe your estado civil. So to say if you're married, if you're single, what is your situation? So let's check the examples. Eu sou solteiro. I'm single. Ela é casada. She's married. Nós somos separados. We're divorced. We're separated. You can also say nós somos divorciados. Divorced. Eles são viúvos. They're widows. Okay? So you can ask the person, você é solteiro? Você é solteiro? Or solteira? Você é casado? Are you married? Você é casada? So memorize this so you can ask people. Plus, your profession, so sua profissão. So if people ask you, o que você faz? What do you do for a living? So, o que você faz? You can say, eu sou médico. That's a doctor, okay? Enfermeiro ou enfermeira, nurse. Estudante, student. Dentista, dentist. Piloto, pilot. professor. So in Portuguese, we don't have a difference for professor and we don't have another word for teacher, so teacher is professor. So it doesn't matter if you teach like kindergarten, you are professor, okay? Or if you teach university, you are also professor, okay? Jornalista, journalist. Pedreiro, like constructor. Arquiteto, architect. Garçom, waiter. Garçonete, waitress. Dona de casa, housewife. Dona de casa. Policial, police officer. Vendedor or vendedora, seller, salesperson. Engenheiro or engenheira, engineer. Eletricista, electricist. Empresário or empresária. So if you're in business, you can say this. If you have a company, you are empresário. Secretário or secretária, secretary. Cozinheiro or cozinheira, cook or chef. You can also say chef here, but it depends, chef is more like in fancy restaurants. Camelo, this is a cute word we have. Camelo is someone that sells things on the streets. So if you go to the beach here, you might see a lot of camelos, people selling things, pushing these little carts. And cabeleireiro, this one is a tricky one, say with me. Cabeleireiro, like a hairstylist. Okay, so estar is used to describe temporary states such as emotions, locations, conditions, and ongoing actions. So you are studying here with me. So você está estudando. Você está estudando. Say with me. Eu estou estudando. I'm studying. Okay? So this is something temporary, something you're doing at that moment. And so it's used for situations that can change or have changed. Let's see some examples to make this more clear for you. For example, to express emotions. If you want to say, I'm happy now, like you mean you are happy at this moment, something happened that made you happy. You can say, eu estou feliz. Or you can say without the person, remember? So the verb conjugated in this way, you don't need to say eu. I know you're talking about eu. So you can just say estou feliz. Estou feliz. See that the Z at the end of the word sounds more like an S. So estou feliz. Okay? I am happy. But if you are happy most of the times, or let's say you reached a time in your life where you are fulfilled, you are happy, you can say, eu sou feliz. Sou feliz. Okay? That gives more of a permanent idea than estou feliz. Tell me here in the comments, are you happy? Are you happy just now? Você está feliz? Você está feliz hoje? Today? Or você é feliz? Are you happy? Most of the times. Are you happy? Você é feliz? Tell me here in the comments. Okay, So to describe temporary conditions such as weather, for example, so if you say está frio hoje, está frio hoje, it is cold today. So frio, frio is cold, okay? And one more time, it is conjugated with está, okay? It's like it is, está. Frio hoje, today is cold. If I say é frio na Rússia, it is cold in Russia. I mean, like, it's always cold there. Russia is a cold country, so é frio na Rússia. But if I want to say that only today is cold in Russia, I say está frio na Rússia. Okay? Do you get it? So in Brazil would be the opposite. É calor no Brasil. So I'm saying é because Brazil is known for being a tropical country, so most of the time it's hot. Okay? But if I want to say está calor no Brasil, I mean it is hot in Brazil now because we're in the summer. Okay? So to talk about weather, if it's temporary, if it's today, for example, you are going to use the verb estar. If it's something that is permanent, you're gonna use the verb ser. Okay? Great. And to indicate locations. Locations like where you are located at this time. Okay? So if I say ela está em casa, she is at home. Ela está em casa. That's like something temporary. So right now she's at home, maybe later she won't be. So está, okay? But if you want to say like permanent conditions, if you want to ask someone, for example, oh, where is that store? Onde é aquela loja? For example, you use é. So, a loja é, the store is, naquela rua, on that street. Okay? So, é, something permanent. Okay? Something temporary, when you are at some place, you're gonna use estar. Okay? So, if I ask you, onde você está? I mean, where are you? Right now, where are you? Onde você está? Tell me here in the comments, where are you now? Onde você está? That's temporary. But if I ask you, de onde você é? De onde você é? I mean, where are you from? So that's permanent. Remember? De onde você é? Tell me that here in the comments. Tell me here. Eu sou do... I don't know. Tell me here. Eu sou da... I don't know. Irlanda. Ireland, okay? Or eu sou dos Estados Unidos. I'm from the United States, okay? So here's the difference between ser and estar to talk about locations, okay? You can also use these two to talk about ongoing actions. Like I told you, you can say eu estou estudando. I am studying right now, okay? Eu estou estudando. We have some examples from the song for this verb too. Check this out with me. Não tô nem aí. From the song, não tô nem aí. So you might be asking yourself, but I learned that it is eu estou. He mean when he says não tô nem aí? So this is like an informal contraction for the verb estou. It's not like in English that contractions are correct grammar structures, okay? Here you will hear this, okay, in spoken language, so you're gonna hear people saying it like this all the time. But for example, you shouldn't write like this. You shouldn't say eu tô feliz. No, you have to write eu estou feliz. So that means this is not grammatically correct, but it's how we say it. And it's not like way too informal. It's how everybody says it in daily life, okay? So if you want to learn to just communicate with people, you can learn it this way, okay? You can use it this way. So instead of saying eu estou feliz hoje, you can say eu tô feliz hoje. Eu tô feliz hoje, okay? Do you remember what it means não tô nem aí? I'm gonna give you this challenge to remember this one. Next one, se fosse mulher feia, the same one we saw fosse. So fosse comes from the verb ser. Here it comes from the verb. Here we're gonna look at this next part. So, se fosse mulher feia, tava tudo certo. Tava tudo certo. Tava. So, tava comes from. This is also contracted, so comes from estava. Estava is the verb estar, but in the past tense. Okay? So if I say eu estava em casa ontem. I was at home yesterday. Eu estava. So when you contract it, eu tava. Eu tava. So what he says here, se fosse mulher feia, tava tudo certo. If she was an ugly woman, it was alright. Okay? And one more example from the song. It says, isso não tá certo, é melhor parar. Isso não tá certo. Isso não tá. So, tá is short for está. So, just to summarize here, when you want to talk about yourself, eu estou. In the contracted form, eu tô. Você está. Or você tá. It's the same for ele and ela. So, ele, ela, está or tá. A gente, the same, está or tá. But nós estamos. So you can choose if you want to use either a gente or nós. Okay, you can choose. What you can't do is say a gente estamos. No, that's very ugly. Okay, don't say that. Say a gente está or a gente tá. Or you can say nós estamos. Even nós estamos can be accepted, but don't say nós tá. Some people say here, we call it like caipira, like redneck. Sometimes in my region it's common. We hear people sometimes saying nós tá, nós tá. So that's wrong in two ways. First, the word is nós, and second, the conjugation for nós is not está. Okay? So choose. If you want to use a gente, say a gente está or a gente tá. If you want to use nós, say nós estamos or even nós estamos. even though it's incorrect, but it's an abbreviation, ok? Nós estamos. Vocês estão. Sometimes you might hear just the tão too. So, let's say someone calls you and your friends and asks you, onde vocês estão? Onde vocês estão? Where are you guys? Onde vocês estão? Vocês, ok? And eles, elas estão, or just estão. One more time. Okay? So that's the verb estar. Okay? So here, let's see more examples on how to use the verb estar. Because sometimes you have to use like some prepositions with the verb estar, depending on what you want to express. So for example, if you want to say, how are you? Como você está? You don't need any prepositions. So, eu estou bem. I'm fine, I'm well. Eu estou bem. Or just estou bem. Eu estou feliz, happy. Eu estou cansado, tired. Eu estou chateado. I'm upset, chateado. Eu estou entediado. I'm saying entediado, for example, just because it's an example, okay? But if it is for me, eu estou entediada, bored, okay? Eu estou animada, I'm excited. Eu estou animada. Eu estou preocupada, I'm worried, I'm preoccupied. Eu estou nervosa, I'm nervous, okay? But if you want to say your location, then you're going to have to use a small preposition. And that preposition is em. Say with me, em. Okay, in some cases, you're going to say just em. In some cases, you're going to have to say no, that is em plus o, or na, that is em plus a. If you want to say, I'm home, I'm at home, eu estou em casa. Casa is like English, it's a general term, so estou em casa. But for example, if you want to say, I'm at the supermarket, eu estou no supermercado. So you're saying em plus o, and that means no. So I recommend you watch the lesson I gave here about feminine and masculine words, so you can understand this o here, but it's called artigo. So it's an article we use to define a word, to define a place, to define something. So o supermercado is a defined place. That's why I can't say eu estou em supermercado. Like em is very general. If I want to say I am at the supermarket, or at the supermarket, at the, and by that you have to say o, because in Portuguese the is o, a, os, as. So instead of saying eu estou em o supermercado, at the, no, in Portuguese we say it together. Eu estou no supermercado, because it's masculine. So eu estou no supermercado. Eu estou na escola, at the school, na escola. Eu estou no trabalho. I know that in English you would say I'm at work, but here we say it like defined, at the work. Eu estou no trabalho. Okay. For cities, no matter if the name of the city is masculine or feminine, we always say em. So São Paulo is a city. So we say eu estou em São Paulo. Even though São Paulo is masculine, this is a rule. Okay, I don't know why it's like that, but for cities, you say em. Okay? But for countries, it's already defined again. So for countries, it would be like, I'm at the Brazil. This is just to explain to you. I know that we don't say I'm at the Brazil. We say I'm at Brazil. But you're gonna have to use no Brasil. So for cities, em. For countries, no or na. Okay? If you're at the United States, it's a little bit different because United States, Estados Unidos is plural. So estou nos Estados Unidos. Nos, okay? Plural. If you are in Germany, estou na Alemanha. Estou na Alemanha. So it's na, okay? I can make a video for you in the future to talk more about this rule. I know it's complicated, and to tell you the truth, this is something we learn at school here in Brazil, and it's complicated even for us because there are some rules. The basic, we know how to say, everybody knows. Everybody's gonna say the name of the city using em, for example. But some rules are a little bit tricky, so I can make a video for you in the future exploring more of that. Because of the time, today we're gonna stick to this, okay? And you can be with, com, okay? Estar com. This one is a little bit different from English too, because if you are feeling cold in English, you just say I'm cold. But here you don't say eu estou frio. No, you say eu estou com frio. It's something you are with, something you are feeling. You say com. So eu estou com frio. I'm cold, but like I'm with cold, something like that. Eu estou com calor. Calor is hot, okay? Calor. So how is your city today? Is it cold or hot? Frio ou calor? Eu estou com fome. Com fome. I'm hungry. Eu estou com fome. Eu estou com sede. Com sede. I need to drink water. Água. Okay? Eu estou com sede. Eu estou com raiva. Like, I'm angry. Com raiva. With anger. Eu estou com medo. So, to say you are afraid is to say eu estou com medo. Eu estou com dor de cabeça. Say with me. Dor de cabeça. Cabeça is head. So dor is pain. So this would be a headache. A pain in the head. Dor de cabeça. Okay? Eu estou com enjoo. It's like I'm feeling nauseous. Okay? Eu estou com enjoo. And the most beautiful word, saudade. It's also something you can be com. Eu estou com saudade. Okay? So let's say, eu estou com saudade da minha mãe. I miss my mom. You know, saudade doesn't have a translation. If you want to understand this feeling more, watch the video I made about it. Let's practice a little bit. Let's practice a little bit. I put this exercise here so we can do it together. So, eu no aeroporto. At the airport. Aeroporto. How would you say this? Gonna give you a few seconds. I hope you've answered. Eu estou. Eu estou. Ok? Eu estou no aeroporto. Luísa, that's a name. Luísa em São Paulo. What will you put here? Luísa está em São Paulo. Os engenheiros no escritório. Escritório is an office. Os engenheiros estão no escritório, because os engenheiros is plural, so it's they, eles estão, ok? O médico, the doctor, o médico no consultório, at his office too, so different kind of office. Consultório. So, o médico está no consultório. O dinheiro no cofre. The money in the safe. No cofre. O dinheiro está no cofre. Vocês na fábrica. Vocês estão na fábrica. Você na rua. At the street. Oh, fábrica is factory, ok? Você na rua. Você está na rua. Okay? So that's it for today. We're gonna do this first part and I want you to try to do the second part. So I'm gonna make this exercise available for you. Try to do the second part by yourself. If you have any questions, ask me here in the comments. I'm gonna help you. So let's just review everything we've learned today. So we've learned the verbs, os verbos, ser e estar. So, o verbo ser is used to describe permanent situations such as nationality, profession, qualities, okay? So things that do not change. And the verb estar is used to describe temporary states such as how you're feeling in the moment, locations you're at, conditions, or things that are happening at the moment, okay? And for the verb estar, sometimes we have to use some prepositions. So if you want to say you are at some city, you're going to say em. Eu estou em São Paulo, for example. And if you are feeling something like cold, eu estou com frio, okay? So that's a summary for your lesson. Now that you've learned, I bet it sounds simpler than it was at the first time. So do the exercises I'm gonna leave here. And if you have any questions or suggestions, don't forget to leave here in the comments. I'm here to help you. So that was it for today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. I hope it helped you. And if it did, don't forget to leave your like here in this video and subscribe in the channel so you can receive all of my future videos.